Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply yet again for the 2026 year. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. These guys are not just a business, they are houndsmen and women too. They test their products out there in the field and put them to the test every day during hunting season and field trial season, guys. Get the latest in garment equipment, stay locked and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply again for their support, not only for the podcast, but for field trials across the country, our help in fighting to keep our rights as houndsmen and women across the states. And when you're looking for your next purchase and equipment, keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now, let's get this episode going, guys. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. On this episode, we're going to be riding solo this week. I was going to try to get a recording done with a guest this past weekend, but I ended up violently sick. We'll just put it at that. I'm not going to go diving deep into that, but needless to say, I was pretty much stuck to one room there for a little while, and that did not happen, getting a recording done this weekend. So, do apologize for that. But I'm going to talk about, after we do our scripture and motivational quote, I'm sure if you're on the Facebook page, you've probably been following it. I need to get better on my TikToks. I'm sorry my TikToks have been off. If y'all follow me on TikTok, time has just been crazy, man. But we're going to talk about the bracket. That seems to be a pretty little hot topic that I did it for fun, just hoping to see some people enjoy some stuff. But anyway, before I get too crazy, let's go ahead and do our motivational quote of the week. And that is, the struggle you're in today is developing the strength you need for tomorrow. I did not see a person behind that quote, just saw it on the internet and liked it. So I wanted to bring that to y'all. And the scripture of the week comes from Matthew 20:28. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. So those are the motivational quotes and the scripture of the week. But let's go ahead and get into the topic of the week, guys. I think that this has got a lot of talking points. I think I'll be able to talk about this for a little bit, even though I am riding solo on this. And I want to hear some opinions, guys. The main reason I did this was fun. It just kind of hit me one day. I was like, it'd be really kind of neat to just do something along the lines of like these guys do, these brackets. I kept seeing brackets pop up for all this stuff all over the place, for best NASCAR driver, best this, best track, best football team, best era of this, and all this kind of jazz. And I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to do one on the dogs. Well, we had a little fun with it, made a post and said, all right, give me your best dog to ever exist in the field trial and competition hound world, as far as foxhound, coyote hound, that kind of deal. Well, I think it ended up with 150-something comments, and we took the top 32 with the most likes. So hopefully maybe some of y'all that are listening, maybe that didn't follow it from the start, that wondered why the bracket was made up, why the dogs were ranked like they were and how they were ranked. That's why. You went through the comments, you liked the dogs, and after that, it was after a day of likes, then we broke it down and said, all right, top like, which was Pinedale Clown B, that goes number one. Second dog, I'd have to go through the list and look at it again to verify, but, that goes next. So we just had fun with it, guys. This whole idea was fun. I've seen some comments that gotten a little I can tell some people getting a little sideways about it. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to go through each of these rounds, and I'm going to go ahead and give y'all a forewarning. Most of these dogs I never got to watch run. Most of these dogs that we're in talks and conversations about, I won't even end the field trialing when this happens. All I'm going off of is hearsay, stories, and stats. So one thing that I really thought was cool about this bracket was a lot of the guys that own these dogs or had a part to do with these dogs are jumping on Facebook and they're commenting on these rounds. I seen the owner of, I think it was the original owner of Bethlehem. Now, I don't know if I did not verify this, so it could be wrong. Could be somebody just jumping on there, whoever. Unfortunately, that's a little before my time to even know, but the original owner of Bethlehem jumped on and was talking about the dog. And I was like, man, how cool is that? Like, just being able to see that person jump on there and give his 2 cents on a dog that, he owned for a little while. That was really cool. So that's been one of my favorite parts about this is you got guys that are jumping on these posts and jumping on these polls and on this bracket and saying, hey, this dog did this and, couldn't nothing touch him at his time and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And, blah, blah, blah sounds rude. Excuse me for sounding rude right there. That was no intentions on that. But, it's really cool to see these stories popping up all over the place, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that. So please, guys, if you're listening and you're watching this, then I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on the post. I appreciate you coming on the page and just putting your 2 cents in and just telling some stories, telling some old stats, telling us about how the dog was. I love that kind of stuff, So how is the bracket going so far? So we'll do a little breakdown, and I'm not going to bore y'all too much with all this because there's a topic that I really do want to talk on and hit, and I think I wish I had somebody else to banter with on this one. I should have gotten somebody in here and done my setup and done a little better on this, but y'all banter back with me. If y'all listening, feel free to message me. I want to know y'all's opinion. I love a good little conversation about this. As long as we're keeping it chill and keeping it, kosher, I'm here for it. So, first round, and this is a normal bracket now, guys. This is highest ranked dog going against the next highest ranked dog, at least from the start. After that, man, I've had so much on my plate. I did not take the time to reorder these dogs going into the next round. It literally just goes whoosh, down the pipe. It's not the second round, the highest dog goes against the lowest ranked dog. It just whoever was in the flow, that's how it goes. That's just the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest thing for me to do with the time that I have available right now. So y'all do forgive me on that part. But from the start, it was like it was supposed to be. All right, guys, we're going to interrupt the episode again real quick. The Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a second and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. Whether you're pleasure running at night or judging nighttime field trials, put your trust in Cajun Lights, guys. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for your nighttime feeds, and trust me, that sucker comes in handy. And to the top level Cajun blinder for the hardcore crossing getters. The Cajun Lights are headlights style lamps that free up your hands for voice recorders and your GPS. They offer flood style lights in red, amber, and a white walking light. Then the top of the line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try. With the red and amber setting to catch the game with an easy flick of a switch, go right back to your main beam light, guys, and see your hounds in action. Visit their store today at CajunLights.com or check out. Make sure that you fill out the survey and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase from Cajun Lights. Guys, trust me, tough lights. Cannot say enough good about these guys. And Made in America products. Be sure to check them out. CajunLights.com. All right, I won't hold y'all up no more. Let's get back to the episode, guys. Here we go. So, first round, first matchup was Pinedale Clown B versus Claiborne's Rock. That's a tough L for Claiborne's Rock. Clown B is going to be hard to beat. Hard to beat throughout this whole thing. I don't know that. Now, I know we're talking 20, 25 years ago since Clown passed away. So we're getting to the end of being able to visibly see Clown in those pedigrees when you get your gold seals. But it's not going to be many dogs out there that don't have Clown. Clown, and again, this is way before my time, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Clown put a standard to what a dog should be. That was the dog that everybody bred to. He produced, ran, champion, multi-time champion. I've seen comments and posts. I found the post just searching around earlier today, just kind of poking around at some info where and I didn't write down the name of the hunt like a dummy, but where he made a champion at 8 years old. I mean, that's ungodly. That is a freak of nature. Now, Claiborne's Rock, you can go back and listen to my episode with Brett Claiborne, and you can get a little story on that, which I am trying my hardest to get Mr. Claiborne on here. And I promise you, I'm trying. He's agreed to it. We just haven't been able to link up. So hopefully that's coming soon. And I got some really cool guests I'm very, very happy to do. Once we get our timing set up and timing right, it's coming, guys. So Clown B, takes the win on Claiborne's Rock. Next matchup was WT's Buck Wild against Atkins Penny. WT Buck Wild, I don't know how far his breeding, his name stretched down south, but I know up here around our area, WT's Buck Wild was one of the best producing dogs around here. You talk about tough and gritty dog, and it goes into the next round with Buckshart's Hard Rock too. You get a Hard Rock and a Buck Wild dog, man, you talk about something that's tough. Good gosh. But WT's Buck Wild had to go against Atkins Penny. Made one of the best crosses that you could ever ask. And that's a tough. So Atkins Penny ended up beating that dog, beating WT's Buck Wild. This one I got a lot of cool messages and stories and stuff. Buckshot's Hard Rock took down MK's Taylor. People that said they watched MK's Taylor run, some of the way that they described that dog was just like it was an ungodly dog to watch, But Buckshot's Hard Rock is in a lot of dogs. And I know Hard Rock can run in his time too. So that one put MK's Taylor out. The next one was Tiny Helms versus East Coast Dylan. I'm gonna say by ranking this was technically not an upset, but I would say this is arguably one of the first upsets of the first round. Then this is not, and please guys, for the love of God, especially Mr. Parker, if you're listening to this, don't take any offense to that. Please don't. And I'm not saying I didn't get to watch any of them run, but a lot of the folks that got to watch maybe both of them run or were around in that time, they said it was debatable. It's a debatable topic, and I think any of these dogs, man, a lot of these dogs, that are in this bracket or in this conversation are debatably some of the best dogs that of all time. So East Coast Dylan knocks out Tiny Helms. Now this one, I'm going to... I'm trying to be so careful here because I don't want to offend anybody. I called it an upset on Facebook. Is it an upset? Maybe. Debatable. All this is debatable. Crisco's New Bern, great dog. Great. You know, not taking away anything. CMK's Calvary, the record that stands behind Calvary, though, is unmatched. Well, I say unmatched. It's incredible. It's incredible what that dog did at a time. Easily one of the top hounds of the decade that it was in. And I'll talk about that whole decade comment here in a little bit. But Crisco's New Bern defeated CMK's Calvary. That one actually surprised me. I kind of thought, and I'm not talking beat it by a little bit, Crisco's New Bern walked away with it, which really surprised me. I thought Calvary was at least going to go a round or two before he got eliminated. Next round, White Kite Helms knocked out ISK Lemonade. And you're talking decades apart of dogs. Decades apart. So that one was an interesting one. And we'll talk about some of this stuff later. P&J's Dallas was knocked out by Bonds Wheeler. McGee's Sticker was knocked out by Wisnet's Jimmy B. Brandon, I don't know if you're listening or not. Don't let these boys get under your skin. Them talking about him only being a producer and only being not even being a real champion. Don't let them get to you, brother. Don't let them get to you. That is dual champion Jimmy B, by the way. So Jimmy B knocked out McGee's Sticker. East Coast Hollywood knocked out PD's Hope. Now this next round right here, I thought was very interesting. You're talking about a dog that had a year that just hard to match, and that's Chapman's Boaz. I'm talking a modern dog that's still alive, still competing, is out there today, right now, still out there. But he had to go against Honer Slinger, one of the top dogs of all time. And I'm sorry, that's a hard feat. I mean, I'm talking, you got two multi-time champions going against each other. That's tough. Then, so anyway, Slinger ended up knocking out Chapman's Boaz. The next round, I felt so bad for Mr. Honer. He had to take Action Cat against Slide. Now, if I remember right, I have to go back and talk to Mr. Honer again and find out. But I think he actually even said that he would have picked Action Cat over Slide. But Slide got voted on and beat Action Cat. The next round, Atkins Lucy beat Crisco's Charlie. Another tough, two great running hounds. That's a tough round. I think that one was really close if my memory suits. The next round, Lake Hills Rusty goes against Dash's Rip Rock, which I think that one was pretty close too. That was a super debated round, very close round. Then B&B's Loot knocks out Thompson's Finn. Then Lofton's Bethlehem knocks out Dono's Batman. And then Jimmy's Ziploc B gets taken out by DNS Mighty Man, which the next round, which is going on today, right now as I'm recording, is quite the entertainment. It's brought to my attention that it was like that, and we'll talk about that right now. So going into the next round down there at the bottom, Mighty Man had to go against Bethlehem, which I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this comment. I'm not a fan of this analogy. But Bethlehem, and I need to double check myself, but I'm 99% sure this is correct. But Bethlehem is Mighty Man's sire. But what's funny is whoever wins this round, if Lake Hills Rusty gets to go through, we'll have to face Lake Hills Rusty, which is Bethlehem sire. So we're about to take out that whole line right there in one little swoop. But we're just finishing. We're finishing up the second round, the round of 16 today. I need to go back on my. I'll tell you what. I'll try to slide through it as I'm sitting here looking and recording. But let's see. All right, let's see here. All right, let me get to it. Let me find it. Give me a second, guys. Day one. Should have had all this together, right? Yep, there you go. All right, let's see. So in this round, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's see. So I'm going to hit them just as I'm seeing them throughout the day. So White Cat, blah, 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 blah. Nope, that's the first round still. I'm sorry. Day 3, day. All right. So there's the first matchup of the second round, around the 16. Pinedale Clown B. I think Pinedale kind of swept it again. Knocks out Atkins Penny. And the closest one so far, East Coast Dylan beat out Buckshot's Hard Rock by one single vote. And these votes are getting hundreds of votes, and which is so incredible. So thank y'all for participating in this. This is so much fun. It really is. Let's see. Next up, I see Crisco's New Bern just did beat White Cat Helms. And then he'll have to go against Wisnet's Jimmy B, defeating Bonds Wheeler. Then the next round, Atkins Lucy knocks out Honer Slide. And then East Coast Hollywood takes out Honer Slinger. So, sorry, Mr. Honer. That was a tough day for you, buddy. So, we are finishing up the end of the round of 16 right now. Right now, as it sits. And it's going to take a pretty good little swing for it to change over, my friends. DNS Mighty Man is defeating Lofton's Bethlehem. And Lake Hills Rusty is defeating B&B's Loot. So, that's what you got coming up. I've loved this, guys. I really have. This has been so much fun. I hope everybody's enjoying this, guys. This is, like I said, this was all in fun. This was all in just trying to get some conversations going, guys. I hope I haven't made anybody mad. I hope that this bracket ain't made anybody just mad. Just remember, even if you win this thing, you ain't getting nothing. You get some bragging rights that you won a poll on Facebook. Cool. You know, but again, all in for fun, guys. We're just something to interact, little March Madness idea, you know. So I hope everybody's enjoying this. One of the conversations, here's my second talking point of this episode. One of the biggest conversations that I see, and this goes for all sports. This goes for NASCAR. Who was the GOAT? Dale Earnhardt? Was it Jeff Gordon? Was it Richard Petty? You know, was it you know, any of the other big drivers? You know, David Pearson. You know, Darrell Waltrip. You know, you could put all Jimmy Johnson, all kinds of guys like that. Who's the GOAT of basketball? It's Michael Jordan, but you know, was it Michael Jordan? Was it LeBron? You know. football. Who was it? Was it Tom Brady? Was it whatever? There's always going to be that conversation, and that happens a lot in this sport. Who is the greatest of all time? Was it Clown B? Was it Honer Slinger? Was it Atkins Penny? East Coast Hollywood, Jimmy B? Whatever the case may be. Who is the greatest hound of all time? All right, we're back at the Elite Nutrition section with Mr. Chip Kosher again, and we're going to be talking on this episode about the Active Dog, and we're going to throw a few others into it, that is the Ultraflex and the Enduraflex, but we're going to start with the Active Dog and exactly what it is. I know just from personal experience, it's one of those ones to me that is kind of an in-your-face kind of thing. It really does show itself when you start using it correctly. So I'll let Chip go ahead and take over here and kind of tell us about the Active Dog product.
All right, so the Active Dog is, what I love about it is it's about, if you look at any other products that are for joint and muscle recovery on the market, you got to buy like 5 products to get to the Active Dog. The
Right.
Active Dog is hyaluronic acid, MSM, glucosamine and chondroitin, turmeric, all very potent anti-inflammatories. Has boswellia, which is a little bit of a natural painkiller. Has collagen to help rebuild the joints. All that very highly concentrated in one product. Like I said, prior to us having that product, you'd have to get 3 or 4 different products to reach all those ingredients, and you're
Right.
feeding like twice as much of each of those because they're not as highly concentrated either. One of the really nice things about that Active Dog is it's going to take the inflammation out. If you're running hard, it can be for an arthritic or an older dog too, but it's going to take that inflammation out of their joints when you're running hard so they don't
Right.
get as stoved up, and it's going to also help with their muscles recovered. Now, the Enduraflex Plus, which in the running dog world, I'll be honest, I sell a lot more of that because you guys are keeping so many dogs. The Enduraflex Plus is the exact same product as the Active Dog, but instead of being in a handy dandy treat, it is in a powder that you mix with the feed. That same application rate that we do with a lot of our other products is at 1 ounce to 10 pound of dog food. And you can go on it with there. I mean, but at the same time, the treats are pretty handy if
Right.
if you're not keeping a ton of dogs and you got
Yep.
1 or 2 that you pay extra special attention to. I mean, it's a liver flavored treat. It's real easy to give.
Right. And I think the biggest
personally
difference
don't.
with
That means my wife's giving my dogs a good treat instead of some junk treat, just
Right.
because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other one that we have is the Ultraflex. And that Ultraflex, in your world, with what you're doing,
That's the big one.
is the cat's meow. It
Yep.
is that exact same product we were just talking about. A very potent, highly concentrated anti-inflammatory mixed with a heavy painkiller.
Yes.
So guys, this will do what Dex does.
Right.
You can use it as a maintenance. You can give them that 1 ounce to 10 pound of dog food, or in between rounds, I got a whole bunch of guys, they'll mix it into a paste and they'll shoot it down their throat. You can't overdose on it. And I mean, it works quickly. You probably have, I know you've used the Ultraflex. Have you not?
Yeah.
Why don't you give me
Yes.
your 2 cents versus my theory?
No, you're exactly correct. And I do want to make a note too, when you do go to look for the Ultraflex and the Enduraflex, especially if you're on CajunLights.com and getting it from that website, you're going to be going to the equine section. It's not in the dog section. It's not in the canine section. It is actually in the equine section. But like you said, it is the same thing. It's mixed at the same ratio. So how I use both products, I don't really use the Active Dog. Like you said, with the number of dogs that I'm using it on, it just makes more sense to mix it up as the powder and do it that way. So how I'm using it is I take and while I'm pleasure running only, I'm doing the Enduraflex. The Enduraflex has been phenomenal as far as the recovery time that I see for my dogs. Whether I'm running once a week or twice a week, I've gone from the dogs coming back the next day and they're a little stiff, a little sore. You know, you could tell they ran the night before, to straight the next day. They're like, all right, let's do it again. All right, here we go. You know, where are we going? When can we go again? You know, just antsy, no stiff muscles. I've got 3-year-old dogs on it, and they just act like they're still 18 months old. I start, once they get back from the break-in pen, I have not tested it with younger dogs yet. I'm thinking about testing it here soon. I got some 5 months old that'll be going to the break-in pen in about 2 months. I'm thinking about testing it with them. And it's kind of just helping build maybe a little bit of recovery time. Maybe kind of test that theory out a little bit. But as far as what I've experienced so far, Enduraflex, while I'm just pleasure running, prepping for hunts, as I get closer to a hunt, the week of the hunt, I switch over to the Ultraflex. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, the Enduraflex and the Ultraflex are pretty much the same product, except the Ultraflex has the Dex additive in it.
The painkiller part, yeah.
The painkiller additive, yes. I say Dex additive. I think that makes sense to a lot of everybody that's going to be listening. Right. So I run the Ultraflex the week leading up to the hunt and about 2 days after. Then I switch back over to the Enduraflex just so I'm not throwing that painkiller additive in there all the time at them.
Have you mixed the Ultraflex into a paste between days?
I have not, actually. That's the one thing I have not done with it. I've done directly onto a food bowl. I've done it in the 10-pound mix and 1 ounce per 10-pound ratio. Done a little bit of both. I do think I see a little bit more effectiveness as a direct feed. And with that, I'm doing about, it's probably a little overkill, but I would say I'm doing about somewhere between 1/4 to 1/2 ounce on directly to a bowl of feed. And usually if I am doing that, it's while I'm at the hunt. Leading up to the hunt, I'm doing it the 1 ounce per 10-pound ratio. While I'm there, I'll take an individual scoop on a fresh pallet of food, and each
that's
bowl.
Where I would do what you're doing, or mix it into a paste. Isn't even before you run the first day. It's after you get done, so you get that inflammation out where they're stoved up or whatever. You get them back to feeling comfortable. Because again, when you got to run the next day, you want them to get a good night's sleep too. So you don't want them to be all freaking stoved up and uncomfortable because of that. One thing I should say on the Ultraflex, because it has that painkiller, and that painkiller that we're using is white willow, that will thin the blood. So if you do not give it to pregnant females, you can give it to puppies, you can give it to any other dog. It's not going to, but with pregnant females, with the pups being in utero, we haven't had any problems, but it's one that you want to be cautious about.
And on that note as well, with the Ultraflex and that painkiller additive, it's not one to be using at all times, correct? You kind of need to take a break. I mean, not necessarily use that consistently. Like
correct. I
used, and we'll get into this in another episode, but the Essential Dog and the Enduraflex is a daily thing for me. But I would say
the funny thing is, you kept saying pleasure running, and I kept thinking of, I'm trying to get back into shape, so I just got done running on the treadmill last night, and I'm sitting here thinking pleasure running. That's like an oxymoron, like it's two opposites, like a jumbo shrimp. And it was funny. I was at an event this past weekend, and I'm sure most of you guys down south down there are Baptists, but this guy, he was talking about oxymorons, and he said, kind of like United Methodists. I thought that was a pretty good
That's funny. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I don't use the Ultraflex all the time. Like I said, that's just during the week of the hunt, a couple days after, and then I switch back over to the Enduraflex. Is that accurate that I'm saying that we probably shouldn't use that Ultraflex all the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Correct. Gotcha. I thought so. But yeah, The one thing that I wish I could have done, is I wish I would have did about half of my dogs on the Enduraflex / Ultraflex and the other half not on it, just to compare. But I did notice that running when I made that switch over, it was a major definitive difference in how fast their recovery time was. I didn't need any of this other powder mix when I go to a hunt that you don't really know what you're putting in there, not knocking any other products, but we know exactly what we're putting into our dogs here. It's all natural, and I've never seen something that just constantly keeps up the dogs with recovery rate. And one of the biggest takeaways for me is you're talking 1 ounce per 10 pounds. And I know I get it in, I believe it's the 2-pound containers.
2-pound container.
So, yeah, 2-pound container.
So it mixes around 320 pounds of dog food. It goes
there you go.
A long way for most kennels. Now, with you guys that got 60 dogs, I realize that doesn't last but a couple of days.
Right. I'm running 6 grown dogs that are on it. And I can usually make that 10-pound container last anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 or 7 weeks, somewhere in that kind of that range, just depending on how much.
Have you tried it on any old dogs that you thought were past their prime to see if you could bring them back for one last hurrah, or no?
I have not, and I should have with that old Vader dog of mine. He'll be 9 this year, and I still take him out deer hunting. I think next year, if he's still willing and able to go deer hunting, I'm thinking about giving that a try with him next year and seeing how it affects him, because he's definitely at that age where it's done caught up to him. So something that I definitely want to try. But like you said, I mean, you got guys in our sport that are running 5-6-year-old dogs, can't do nothing but help with this. But I will say, I think this is, a lot of products that you see and read and try and are not necessarily always in your face. To me, this was one of the big ones that was the in your face, it's working kind of product.
And for all you guys out there that say, I need that for me, it's called Inflame-Aid, and you can get that from Cajun Lights too, because I get guys all the time, well, why don't you have something for us? We got a whole human line too, and that one is called Inflame-Aid. You can get that for yourself.
Hey, they got some good stuff on there too. I know I can't remember what the energy one was. It was it was one that was helped keep your energy up. That one actually worked really well for me. I was on that for a little while, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Was it the daily
vitamin, or was it?
No, it was
the Harmony, the one that spikes your testosterone.
No, it wasn't Harmony. It was another one. I cannot think of.
Oxycell.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That was great. It did great. But I think we've hit these products pretty well, if I'm thinking right. I can't think of anything to add to them. Excellent. All right. Well, guys, this has been another little section of the Elite Nutrition section with Mr. Chip Kosher, and we'll get y'all back to the episode. I have a unpopular opinion on naming something the GOAT. I don't care if you're talking field trial dogs. I don't care if you're talking deer dogs. I don't care if you're talking NASCAR. I don't care if you're talking whatever the case may be. I don't think you can ever truly crown a GOAT. I don't think you can truly crown a greatest of all time. There's no accurate way, other than stats, other than just, hey, this dog was a 15-time field champion. This dog was a 9-time champion, but he produced 30 field champions, 50 field champions, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, This dog was a 2-time field champion, but he produced 100 field champions, That topic, I don't think you can ever 100% label a GOAT of a dog. Clown B never got to run in these conditions that we run in now. Chapman's Boaz never got to run in conditions like Clown B got to run in. It's, to me, you're comparing apples to oranges. It's the conversation you hear a lot of old timers say when you go to the Fox Pen. I love hearing it. I'm not talking any mess now. I'm not degrading. I'm not talking trash. You know, I hear it all the time. Man, them dogs back 20 years ago, them things would have ran circles around these dogs. They can't hold a track. They can't do this. But did they have the speed? Did they have the speed these dogs had? Maybe. I don't know. It's so hard to compare. You know, oh, these dogs today could couldn't hunt compared to what the old dogs did. Maybe that's true. Is there any accurate way to be able to compare the Hounds of yesterday to the Hounds of today? I truly don't think there is. Now, me getting into this late, all I can do is go by hearsay. I didn't get to grow up in this sport. When I grew up, it was watching my dad's deer dogs and learning how to run deer off on his dogs and learning how to train deer dogs and get a government mule in the wind, you know. I didn't get to watch the greats, you know. I hear stories of, man, I guess it was getting on 10 years ago, and getting to watch a lot of these dogs that are in these conversations, especially up here around in Virginia. But I mean, you're talking the days of Jay Bird's whole litter, you know, watching those dogs just go to field trials and dominate. You're talking about watching East Coast Hollywood put a murder session on. Well, murder session's not a good choice of words there, but you know what I mean. Just absolutely putting on clinics. I mean, there was a time, 10 years ago, where there was easily 10, 15, 20 dogs all competing at one time. Man, what a time to be in field trial, and I wish I could have seen it, where a lot of these dogs that were in these conversations were competing against each other. But they never got to compete against some of the ones that you call the all-time greats. I just don't know that it's fair, for multiple reasons, to compare today's dogs to older dogs. I don't think it's fair to compare older dogs to today's dogs. It was different running. It was different styles of running. It was different conditions. You know, these outside hunts, you know, I don't know all the ins and outs and what, you know, I don't know where Clown made all his champions. I don't know where Slinger made all his champions. I don't know how many of them were in the wire, how many of them were on the outside. You know, you get to talking about Mr. Helms, you know, how many of his champions were on the outside. You know, it's wild to try to compare a dog that could go out on these outside hunts, or maybe it was low game hunts that made these champions. Again, I'm not taking anything away from any dog, but to be great back in the 80s and the 90s and probably into the early 2000s is a whole different dog, hearsay, than what you need to make a champion today or into the late teens. Am I saying that Clown B couldn't rise from the grave and be a 3-year-old dog and come out here today and whoop everyone's butt? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he could. I'm not saying that he couldn't. I'm saying that you'll never be able to know the true answer behind that. That's why I think there's no you're never going to be able to say this dog is the greatest of all time. And I'm sure people will argue me up and down. That's why I don't believe that there's ever such thing as a GOAT. Look at, I'm a NASCAR nut, okay? So a lot of this I'm going to compare NASCAR, okay? I don't think you can compare Richard Petty to Dale Earnhardt. I don't think you can compare Richard Petty to Jeff Gordon. You're talking about two completely different forms of cars, racing styles, versus 70s, 80s, when Richard Petty was hot, versus the 90s and 2000s when Jeff Gordon was hot. That's completely different. You'll never, ever truly be able to compare those two drivers. Just like you can't compare dogs that were making champions from back then to dogs that were doing it now. Now, I think you get a rough idea. I think you get close. And I'm sure my message box is going to be freaking flooded. I'm probably going to have all kinds of messages and talks about this. And that's fine. I love it. Bring it on. Bring it on. Again, I didn't get to watch these dogs, man. I did not get to watch these dogs. Unfortunately, I would pay money to be able to go back to the days of running these hounds, just to let me watch, Honer Slinger and Lake Hills Rusty, Lofton's Bethlehem, these kind of dogs run and get to really put an eye on these. I just don't have the, obviously I can't do it. I don't know. I never got to watch them. Now, I'm sure the guys that were there through these dogs and got to see these dogs and judged these dogs, ran with these dogs, whatever the case may be. You're looking for dog hunting apparel to rock to your next event? Visit dogtight.com and check out the lines of shirts, hoodies, and hats, just like this one up here on my head that I'm wearing right now, with looks that fit our style, comfort that is unmatched, and supporting another houndsman as well. Get your Dog Tight swag today and use the discount code Houndstales15. That's HOUNDSTALES and the number 15 at the end to get 15% off your order. Now, let's finish up this episode, guys. I promise, right here at the end of it. Thanks y'all for holding on tight with me. I would say they're the ones that could probably tell you. But in my opinion, even then, without the dog being right in front of your face, are you going to really be able to tell? It's just like, to me, when you got a group of puppies, okay? And you're looking at them, and they're by themselves. And you're like, man, these dogs are massive. These dogs are massive. They're full-grown dogs right now. Then you go take and put them next to a full-grown dog, and you're like, oh, crap. We got some growing room to do, I mean, or you got 7-month-old pups, and you're like, all right, I think they're a good size, and you put them next to somebody else's 7-month-old, and you're like, holy crap, these things are huge, I think you can want something to be true so bad, your mind and your eyes will trick you into saying, yep, that ain't old Clown B, that ain't old Penny, That's just another dog. That dog is a great dog, and it's going to be considered one of the top 20 hounds of all time. But it ain't that dog, And that's fine. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here to talk about it. We're here to banter. We're here to have some fun, But I truly just don't. I don't see how you could ever make a GOAT. But if you could, what? And this is where I want to get y'all interacting. This is where I want some more feedback, guys. I love feedback. I love talking on Messenger with y'all. If I'm not busy at work, man, I'm hitting that up and I'm responding back to y'all as fast as I can, I promise. Bear with me sometimes. So to me, what considers a dog to be one of the greatest of all times? Is it just running? Is it just dogs that produced? Is it dogs that did both? To me, in my opinion, running to producing, you need to be one of the top out there. Which is why I think Clown B will go down all the way with this. I mean, just unprecedented, champions, unprecedented, ways he did it, and he's thrown dogs that are still, just an ungodly amount of dogs that are still in pedigrees today. 20-something years later, still in pedigrees. Excuse me. I think a lot of people will probably argue that and say, hey, if the dog is out there and he's a 17-time champion but didn't produce, he's still the GOAT in my opinion. Yes, I can see where you get that. But to me, if you're talking about truly putting some kind of label on it, the dog needs to be able to run, make a champion, and throw it down to the next one and make another champion. I don't think it needs to just stop with it. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. I'm whacked out of my mind. But to me, if you're going to be in that topic, if you're going to be in that conversation piece of being considered one of the greatest of all time in the dog world, then I think, in my opinion, you need to have the upfront and the get back. You need to be able to say, yep, I made the champion this many times and this many pins, and I produced 50 champions. I'm just throwing numbers out there, guys. Don't think that's some kind of standard that I'm like, oh, if you don't make 50 champions out of you, then you're not going to ever be considered the greatest. That's not what I'm saying. Just throwing a wild number out there. Please forgive me. Which, I think is why some of these dogs kind of surprised me that went out first round. I know a lot of people will argue Calvary's production rate. I never got to own any dogs directly off Calvary, but I do know he would throw nice dogs, and he had a record behind him. So for him to go out first round to me was something that was just like, wow, from bench champions to dual champions to field champions. Just a freak of nature kind of dog. And anybody that ever talks about watching that dog run was a freak of nature. Did he deserve to beat whoever he beat? I don't know. Maybe, that's not for me to decide. But, and I'm just using him as an example, guys. Guys, I just think that if you're going to have a dog that's going to be considered the GOAT or one of the greatest of all time, then you need to have one that's throwing, that you made multiple time champions, or stupid close to being multiple-time champions if you didn't make a multiple-time champion, and then throw dogs that are making champions. That's just me, guys. Love to hear some opinions on that. Like I said, please give it back to me. I love it. Love hearing it, guys. Absolutely love hearing it. So, moving forward, and we're going to end up right here, guys. This is going to be a short one. Forgive me. Trying to get something lined up for this weekend so we can have y'all an episode with a guest out. Where do we go from here? With the bracket, we're going to finish this thing out, man. We're not going to stop. We're going to finish it out. Hopefully it doesn't upset nobody. But, guys, remember, please, for the love of God, have fun. Don't get your panties in a wad. Just have fun. Just have fun, guys. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy ourselves. Let's do that. That's all we need to do is enjoy ourselves and have some fun. Okay? Don't take it too seriously. Just relax. Let's just have a good time, all right? Will we do more? I think so. And I'll break them down, and I'd love to hear some feedback on what categories we should do. We could do best running hound of the 2000s, best hunting round of the 90s or 70s and 80s, best producing, best brood, best stud, whatever the case may be. All right, guys, another quick break real quick. The Hounds Tales podcast is proud to partner again with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound on it to go with it. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. And very soon, actually right now, we are offering Hounds Tales Podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. So please go by and check it out. There's a whole section in there under in one of the tabs as for the Hounds Tales Podcast. Get shirts, hats. We're talking about maybe adding some other stuff, but need to see if we can get some movement on the shirts and hats to start. But also, if you're looking for trophies for your next field trial, be sure to check Low 10 Outfitters out as well. So these guys have been great to deal with. Mr. Gonzalez and them, they do a great job, fast turnaround, top quality equipment, and you just can't ask for better, guys. I want to thank them again for coming on board with the Hounds Tales podcast, and I won't hold you all up anymore again. Let's get y'all back to your episode, guys. We're going to do some more of these. I think this has been fun. It's been a great conversation piece, and I'm so excited to keep doing this, guys. So, I'll put my full screen back on. I hope y'all have enjoyed. I really do. Hope y'all have enjoyed this episode. It's been fun kind of talking about it, sitting back and, shooting the breeze about it. But we're going to do more. I want to hear some opinions on which kind of, that's going to be my closing topic, is what kind of brackets would y'all like to see? The one I will not do it, so don't ask. I'm sure people are going to blow my messenger up and text me up and say, oh, do it anyway. I'm not ever going to do the best pin, so don't even ask. That is something that I will not do. It's already a hot topic and a highly debated topic and something that could easily ruffle people's feathers. But we're not going to talk about each other's pins. We're not going to talk about, oh, this pin is this and this pin is that, and we're not getting into it. So don't even ask. We're never going to do it. What I do need is more ideas on, do we do best producing dogs of this decade, best running dogs of this decade, Hit me with some ideas, and we'll rock and roll these things for a little while. I mean, as long as they hold on and people enjoy them, I'll give it a couple weeks between each bracket. But I just think it's fun. It's fun, guys. So, all right, guys, we're going to finish this thing up. I thank y'all so much for listening. Y'all have been so amazing. I hope y'all enjoyed. Got a lot of positive feedback from the episode last week. Looking forward to more of those. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. So, all right, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening, guys. Keep a look on the Facebook page for the polls. Starting around the 16 tomorrow, whenever this episode comes out. So it'll be the 2nd of April. We'll start back on the polls, and it'll be the round of 8. So, all right, guys, my friends. Hope to see y'all at the next hunt. I'll be at the Masters. Hope to see you there. And like always, guys, happy hunting.